Hello and welcome back to Liverpool Latest, everyone. I'm your host, Matt, and I have a big video for you guys today. It's kind of in a response off of the previous one and everything that's happened since the Aston Villa game. I'm going to be discussing Slot and his view on the fans and, the fans chanting his name during the course of the game after we all thought that they were turning on him. There's some outside factors that, Virgil van Dijk believes shouldn't play a factor in the team and that the criticism is ridiculous. Mo Salah, I'm going to share some quotes he had on the season so far, as well as about his milestone that he had, the 250th goal for Liverpool. And, of course, we're going to be discussing where does Florian Wirtz and a few other of our signings fall in this current rotation, because we got Madrid coming up very soon. We're going to have to figure out where some of these big name guys or big money guys are going. That way everybody kind of stays happy. First and foremost, let's talk about Arne Slot and his response to the fans. There's a quote directly from him that said the fans made a difference in the game, and that the Anfield crowd was pivotal in reviving the team's spirit. They chanted for him specifically at some point during the game. I think it was the first half, and I'm not going to lie to you, I was a little bit taken aback by that, okay? It's not the fact that I let social media kind of skew my overall perception of what the fans are saying or doing. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, when all you have, I don't know any other Liverpool fans. So, outside of maybe, one or two. So, everything I have to go off of as far as the fandom is through social media. And a lot of people, honestly, myself included at times, have been calling for Arne Slot's head because of the performances we have been having due to his lack of tactical. I don't even know what the word for it. Lack of tactical genius. But even then, regardless of what word you want to use for it, we've all been angry in one way, shape, or form. So much so that, again, we thought he was going to be sacked after the Crystal Palace game, or at least on the verge of being sacked. So the fact that there are Liverpool supporters that are chanting his name very vocally, mind you, it was very vocal coming off the cameras when I was watching the USA Network broadcast. I kind of warmed my heart just a little bit. I'm not going to lie, where I'm just like, okay, the fans are angry, but they're still going to support the team. And that's something that Arne Slot emphasized, that loyalty and the memory of Liverpool supporters, that they'll back the team no matter what, even when they're struggling or when they're winning. So I think that's a testament to us as a fandom, that no matter what, we still believe in our guys. I think that's important. I still think we have a big couple of tests coming up to truly cement that. And whether or not we pull through is yet to be seen. My worry is what happens afterwards, after these games. Madrid's no slouch. Neither is City. They're now in second place in the Premier League standings. So we're just going to have to figure out what to do from there. And Virgil van Dijk, he has been someone that has been very vocal. I've been reporting on some of the things he has been saying. One of the things that he has been saying, actually, has been ignoring the ridiculous criticism. And he warned about the social media overreaction and how the outside noise can affect players. He also urged focus on togetherness and work ethic. Now, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm also guilty of this. I am just as guilty making these videos every day as everyone else is on Twitter. Because I've been angry too. I've been upset and I've been angry, and I have wondered where his head is at oftentimes. I will say, the previous match that we had was probably the best I've seen Van Dijk in quite some time. which is a good sign. That said, I'm going to read you guys a long quote that was directly from him. He reported to, I think, the TNT Sports. So I'll get to that, and I'll leave your opinions to that in the comments section. What I have noticed over the last couple of weeks, especially, is that there is a lot of noise that you have no control over, and that we have to deal with as a team. Some of those takes are absolutely ridiculous, but you have to deal with that. It's outside noise that can reach certain players, the group. It's about sticking together. We're not going out there on the pitch to lose games. We're not going out there to be disappointed after games or leave fans disappointed going home. We want to work our socks off and win games. There's no guarantee. You play in the Premier League, the highest level, the biggest league in the world, and it's difficult to stay calm, but you have to do it if you want to get back to where you want to be. That's up there, but that's something for later in the season to look at. Now it's time to keep working. Never get too high, never get too low. We live in a world now, for footballers at least, because that's the only thing I can speak about, where everyone can have their opinion on so many platforms and everyone knows it better. We have to try and stay away from that and focus on the hard work we've been doing. I made a video some time ago now, a couple days ago, about Virgil van Dijk's leadership, calling it into question. I have to be honest, I think that's probably the best example of leadership I have seen him put out all season. I think while there is a bit of what I call media speak and, him basically showing out for the media a little bit, there's not necessarily anything wrong with what he said. Okay? We as fans have our opinions, right? We have a right to our opinions. That said, it's how we go about expressing those opinions that matter. Because, and I've known this from several fandoms and several other leagues, whether it's hockey or baseball or basketball or anything, online chatter could be a factor in the fatigue and mental and emotional health of a player. There's been plenty of times where I have seen athletes from different sports have to have a leave of absence because it's getting to them. And maybe it's just them being self-conscious about themselves or what. Some people will say that it's a weak mindset. It's not a winning mindset. And again, I think that also contributes to the whole issue of what Virgil van Dijk is talking about. I try to be positive. I try to be respectful as much as I can on this show, and I'm going to keep working to be better at that. That said, I also have to call out bullshit. And there are times where Virgil van Dijk, in my honest opinion, has spewed bullshit. This is not one of those times, I feel. I think this is the most sincere I have ever heard Virgil van Dijk speak in regards to the state of the team and what's going on inside of the fandom. And I think as a group, we may have to be better, but I also think that the players may or may not need to develop a thicker skin because they know what they have to do. Our opinions shouldn't matter so much to them as their opinions of themselves. That's all I have to say. So, as we move on, I do want to talk about Mysholowsky. He continues to speak about his milestone game that he had. He called it very important amidst the recent struggles, not only the team, but he has been having. He acknowledged Liverpool's poor run of form in both leagues, being the champion and Premier League, but he emphasized that the results are going to help the team get back on track. He saw the win as a psychological boost, which, how could you not? I mean, if you ask me, that was the best I've seen Mo Salah look since like the first week or two of the season. And I'm being dead honest with you. That is the absolute best I have seen him. And I hope he continues to keep that form. I know it's been rough on him mentally and emotionally with outside factors that were out of anybody's control. as far as the Diogo Jota situation. But at the same time, you know, he's got a job to do too, and I think he's going to continue to keep doing that job. He even said himself, he knows football. It's all he's ever known, more or less. So he's played for many years, and it's a very tricky situation for him and the team to try and get used to, adapting to new players, a new dynamic. I don't even want to say adapting to a new coach because, Arn did do a decent job. Well, obviously he did a decent job. He won the league, but at the same time, this was kind of like that true test for Arn, because I still feel like, regardless of him being the new manager of the squad, it was still, to some extent, Jurgen Klopp's team. So this is kind of Slot's true test, and he's got to figure out how he's going to implement everybody on there. And I think Mo understands that as well. He's not taking the milestone for granted. I know that much. I've seen plenty of thoughts that he is just so proud and happy. And what he really wants is that he just wants to keep winning and scoring goals and winning championships for the team. That has been the most optimistic I've seen Mo Salah in interviews in, again, quite some time, given the recent stretch we have been on. But I did mention how, Slot has to get used to all these players and figure it out. We have a big test coming up in a very short amount of time. Real Madrid. People have been wondering, where does Wirtz fall into this whole thing? We spent 116 million euro during the summer to get this guy, only to play him in the final 15 minutes of the match. Now, fans were upset that he wasn't in the starting lineup. I'm not going to lie to you. When he was in the game for those 15 minutes, I didn't notice him all that much. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I wasn't paying attention as well as I could have. But I did not notice that Florian Wirtz was making any sort of impact on the pitch in that last quarter, if that, of the game. So what we need to figure out now is how to fit him in into what seems to be a now clicking team after that last game. I mean, I think we have a lineup that we have in mind that's going to help us win games. I think we have a formation that finally works for us that we never should have steered away from to begin with, in my honest opinion. But it also comes down to how we're going to fit a lot of these players to give them time. I think our starting lineup for this previous match against Aston Villa was a great start. Now it's how do we build on that? And I think Wirtz might have a chance to make the starting 11. I've seen a couple of outlets speak about how they do intend to put him in the starting lineup for the game, but we'll just have to see. It's still the question needs to be asked. Can Slot integrate Liverpool's high-profile players without disrupting what actually is working for us now? And I think that's the problem we've been having these last couple of weeks. Are putting these players helping or hurting us? And I think it depends on the player. Wirtz is a little inconsistent, but he's good. Editike has been phenomenal. He's been outstanding. I love that man. Isak, it's kind of yet to be known because he's been out. He hasn't made that much of an impact as much as we would hoped he would have by now. Frimpong's out, so what are we going to do about that? Nothing. We don't know how long he's going to be out, which is even worse. And not even that. Some of our key players are still out. We get Alisson Becker is still out, and Mamardashvili, who had a pretty solid game. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of him still right now, I'm not going to rule him out that he could still have a great game against Real Madrid. But it's all a matter of, how are these players that we picked up going to fit with the overall dynamic? And this kind of, as you can tell, has an overarching theme to it, this video, because it's about, Slot. He's acknowledging the fact that, the fans are still behind the team. Virgil van Dijk is saying ignore the noise of outside factors, of people being too ridiculous with their criticism. Mo understands that what needs to get done, but he also understands the growing pains that are going to come along with that. And of course, we still have to figure out where some of these players are going to be. Oh, I also didn't mention, keep Kirkez off the damn pitch, will you? That's the one thing I will say, without a shadow of a doubt. Andy Robertson has no reason to not start for the rest of the season until they figure out what to do with Kirkez, because he has been poor. So, and maybe it's just not the position for him, but they got to figure out something for him. I also think that he could be a little bit better as a player in terms of, and the commentators mentioned this, in terms of his attitude with things and how he approaches the game. And they'll figure it out. They're going to figure it out. I won't ramble too much more about it. I do appreciate you guys checking out today's video. I'll have a video the day of the Real Madrid game coming up where I'll discuss everything going into that. And as always, I appreciate you guys, and you'll never walk alone.